Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Noelle and today we are doing a follow-up video on the Tempo Next Percent from Nike. Now if you haven't seen my first impressions video yet, you can click on the upper right box up there, or you can check it out in the description box below. I'll provide a link there for you as well. If the Alphafly Next Percent has a carbon plate in its midsole, this one has a composite plate in its midsole, and it has a bit more of cushion because you're meant to use it during long tempo runs. And so the Tempo Next Percent is meant to, number one, stand up to all that mileage at almost race pace, and number two, to cushion your body from all the impact that intensity brings you. The last time I showed you this shoe, it was in pristine condition. Right now it has gone through, I'm gonna check my my tracking software to see how many kilometers I've actually done in this particular shoe. So I've done approximately 29 kilometers in this pair of shoes. And well, it's going to show a little bit of that wear, some dirt already. I have managed to avoid running in this in the rain, so all of this is pretty much dry weather dirt stuff. So you have some creases in, it's really quite washed out here, but the sunlight. I've got to put a filter on. Okay, there I've drawn the curtains so that this won't really look super washed out. I'll do that again. So see the creases in the React in the heel, in the Zoom X in the midfoot, and also here in the inner part where the foot kind of like when you press down it rolls inwards before you toe off. On the sole, you've got some dirt buildup on the heel. I'm not seeing a lot of, there's actually no wear. It's just basically dirt and creasing. But the blown rubber doesn't look too worse for wear. Oh, I see some distressing going on here, where the Zoom Air pods are, but nothing really to worry about. I really like this shoe. In fact, the more I ran in it, the more I liked it, and it's not because I was breaking the shoe in. It's really that whatever I threw at it, it could handle, especially with my running circumstances where I'm running in a very small circuit in a closed community. The roads, yeah, there are some kind of hairpin turns and some inclines and whatnot, but they're not super challenging. But at the same time, I don't really have a lot of long, straight courses that I can run uninterrupted. So I've run up to an hour in these shoes, and I have to say that because of all the cushioning in them, I didn't really feel beaten up even with the faster, more intense paces that I was doing in these shoes compared with when I was running before I got these shoes. I was just doing very aerobic slow workouts. This one I was doing both slow runs for aerobic capacity as well as more intense runs, just to make sure that I still had the speed in my legs. Another thing I really need to mention is that I do think that they gave me a speed boost. When comparing my run workouts through the end of December all the way through January, when I was wearing these shoes, I was running at a faster pace at lower effort levels compared to when I was using other shoes. I was trying to run at a slow pace, but I still had kind of a high heart rate and all that. Before I ever got to lay my eyes on these shoes, I was kind of thinking that I might not be one of the people who are responders to the sort of intervention that the Tempo Next Percent gives. Number one is the composite plate that acts like a spring in its midsole, and the Zoom AirPods as well, because I kind of land midfoot or towards the heel, so I never thought that I could be able to take advantage of Zoom AirPods that are both in the forefoot. But through my run experience with these shoes, I've discovered that no, I benefited immensely from those two interventions in the shoes. With heart rate and perceived exertion, I really felt like I was running easier in these shoes, but I was basically running at the same speed at lower heart rate and exertion perception. Now, I think I mentioned in my first impressions that I felt like I couldn't run at a slower pace in these shoes because because you're kind of encouraged to land on the midfoot. So yeah, you do have to run at a faster pace to kind of like allow your body to shift onto the midfoot more naturally. I did try to run in these tempo next percents in as many different kinds of paces and workouts as I could, and I discovered that it's really immaterial whether you run slow or fast because the shoe feels really good at all sorts of paces. Now, granted, the difference between my slow and my fast pace isn't as big as it used to be, like when I was in my run prime in 2013 and 2014, but still I found that I was able to use these shoes with no discomfort at all sorts of paces. Now, I did try to land on the heel in these shoes, and yeah, the midfoot provides you a lot of cushion, but the heel still provides you some crash sensation prevention as well. It just doesn't feel as good as when you land towards the midfoot, towards the Zoom AirPods. Now, I tried running in these shoes as well as the Nike Air Zoom Pegasus 37. Both of them have the Zoom AirPods in the forefoot area. Difference being that the Pegasus has only one AirPod in the forefoot, while this has two. But similar sensations and kind of like similar outcomes as well when it comes to encouraging your foot to land on the midfoot, but not penalizing when you land towards the rear of your foot. Basically, I run the same in these shoes as I do my other shoes. I've looked, so I ran in the Tempo Next Percent and the Pegasus 37 all within one running session. I did 2 kilometers in the Pegasus and then 2 kilometers in the Tempo. For the Pegasus, I was running an average cadence of 162 steps per minute, while with the Tempo Next Percent, I was running at 166 steps per minute. So not really much difference. Stride length in the Pegasus was at 0.84 meters, and in the Tempo it was at 0.87 meters. So not really a huge difference. I think it had to do with both of them had the Zoom AirPods in the forefoot, so I was running in a similar style both times. But what really is interesting is that during that run, I was running an average pace of 7 minutes and 21 seconds per kilometer in the Pegasus, but in the Tempo I was running at 6 minutes and 54 seconds per kilometer. Considering I felt like I was running at the same exertion both times, this definitely gives a little bit of a speed boost, I think. Now, when it comes to stack height, which is the height of this, right? Yeah, it definitely feels like the tallest shoe that I've used in a while. It feels much like the Vaporfly Next Percent, the one that I tried 2 years ago. Not that stable on very sharp corners or dead turns. You kind of feel like if you lean over too much, you're going to roll over your ankle, although that has never happened to me. There's just this general sensation that you shouldn't try to bank too aggressively, or else you could twist or flip your foot over. But yeah, since my run track here is quite familiar, I know where the potholes are, I know where the smooth sections are, and I also kind of try to watch where my feet go in general, because I am that kind of person that tends to trip over her own feet. I found that these were pretty stable, but I would recommend that you still use them on smooth pavement and well-lit, well-known paths. I wouldn't necessarily use this on my first run through a new environment, just because, number one, I wouldn't want to risk puncturing these Zoom AirPods. And number two, because yeah, I wouldn't want to risk rolling my ankle either. I can't remember if I noted this on the first impressions video, but these laces are kind of cosmetic because they don't really do much to loosen the volume of the forefoot or the foot that you put inside. Sure, they can help secure your foot in a little tighter, but if you need this what should have been the tongue area to be a little bit looser, that's just not going to happen. This is already as loose as I can get it, and still the sensation is of a very locked down top of my foot. And while that's fine because I don't really have a high volume foot, there are people who do have higher insteps or yeah, larger feet, not in length but in volume, how stout the foot is, for whom the Tempo Next percent might feel very, very snug. I also am concerned if I started to run in these for longer than an hour, because feet swell. The longer you run, your feet will swell. And so if I'm heading into the second hour of a run, for instance, how much of my swollen foot can this shoe take? And how much can I tolerate before it really feels like this very sock-like material starts strangling that foot? Overall though, I really liked my experience running in the Nike Air Zoom Air Tempo Next percent. And if you can afford a pair of these to act as like your race shoe, even if it's not really a race shoe, it's a training shoe, but for mere mortals like ourselves, this can be your race shoe. I don't know if it's all psychological. I think there is a mechanical boost that these shoes can give you, but you're also psychologically more compelled to run faster because these are supposed to be fast shoes. So yeah, I would use these on race day. I would use these on paced runs where I need to hit certain times. I wouldn't use this on a track because the stack is too high. I'm not quite sure if the bounce that these shoes give, in addition to the bounce on a track, might lead to more problems rather than less. So yeah, I wouldn't use these on a track, but I would use these on paved roads. I'm actually kind of excited. I want to use these in a race soon, but I'm not quite sure that any races are going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, if you have the money to spend on this, go spend on it, because it kind of, I don't want to say it pays for itself because shoes never pay for themselves, but yeah, there's definitely a benefit to owning the Tempo Next percent. Now, I know that Runner has been running a price promo on these shoes, so do check out the Runner Instagram page and website. Or if you want a broader selection of colors, then of course the Nike website will have this in stock. Anyway guys, that's it. It's a really short video. I just wanted to bring you a follow-up on these shoes because I know I promised one at the end of January, and it is the end of January. I will be holding on to these shoes and I will continue to run in them. So maybe by 50 kilometers, I might think of doing an update if something material has happened to them, like for instance if the sole starts to break down. But the way it looks right now, where all of my complaints about the appearance is really just about dirt rather than wear, I don't think I will have an issue running 50 kilometers and beyond in total mileage in these shoes. Alright guys, if you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you again on the next video. Bye!